I'm Pierre. He's Chris. We're here to give you our must-start running backs. This time it's week 10, if you can believe it. We're already that far into the season. So let's get going. Chris, give me a running back that you love.
I'm back on the Darrel Williams train. So 2 weeks ago, we saw Derek Gore come in and take almost half the carries from Darrel Williams. And we thought, oh man, here we go. But last week, that did not happen against the Packers. Darrel Williams dominated the backfield touches, got 19 of the 22 carries. Derek Gore only got 3. He's got a great matchup here in Week 10 against the Las Vegas Raiders, who are allowing the 5th highest yards per carry. And for whatever reason, the Raiders always play the Chiefs really well, so this should be a back and forth, high-scoring game, which means Darrel Williams has a chance to score and should get more involved in the passing game. So as one of the few really true workhorse backs, now that Derek Gore seems to be back out of the picture, I think you've got to start Darrel Williams.
Yeah, Darrel Williams is definitely one of those life-saving pickups if you got him a few weeks ago. Darrell Henderson is a guy normally you'd be starting, but after last week, you might be a little scared because he just didn't do anything. That whole Rams offense, they have to abandon the run. So here's the thing with Henderson, it wasn't his fault. He actually didn't have a bad game. He averaged 5 yards a carry, 55 yards on 11 rush attempts. I do think that they will rebound. San Francisco is the Week 10 matchup. That's a good defense, but it's not a shutdown defense. I think this, at the very least, will be a close game, and the Rams will be able to establish the run. I think they realize now that they need to establish the run and not get too far away from the balance that has been working. So Henderson, again, guy, keep plugged in there. Don't be worried about the Rams. Don't be worried about the matchup. So I think he's still a must start for Week 10. All right, Chris, your next running back.
I'm going to go on the other side of that Rams game, and I'm going to say you got to start Elijah Mitchell. So there was some concern last week and that they activated Jeff Wilson from PUP so quickly, but he was a non-factor. Trey Sermon wasn't even active. Yeah, Elijah Mitchell didn't get 15-plus carries, but that's because they were getting blown out by Colt McCoy and the Cardinals, and they were in pass mode. But here's a nice, encouraging thing for Elijah Mitchell. He caught 5 passes. That's kind of been the worrisome thing about him, is he just doesn't have that super high floor because he's not catching passes. But if he's going to be involved in the passing game now he becomes an absolute must start, and he goes from a solid RB2 to really a high-end RB2, borderline RB1. And you look at this matchup against the Rams are a great defense, but they're not a shutdown run defense, and they have allowed 10 touchdowns to running backs on the season. We know Elijah Mitchell is the guy there. He always has a chance to score, and if he's going to be catching passes, he's absolutely a must start.
If you're playing PPR, at least now he has some semblance of a floor there. Talk about Melvin Gordon, and you probably think committee, right? Javonte Williams is a guy who's getting all the headlines, had a nice game against Dallas. Fantasy-wise, Melvin Gordon is still outpacing him because he's getting more of the red zone and the goal line work. He's getting the touchdowns, and he actually has been a top 10 running back in PPR leagues the last 2 weeks. His usage is ramping up. I don't think that this game will be like it was last week, but going against the Eagles, again, this is not a fearsome defense. They have actually allowed the 5th most rushing yards to running backs. I think there's room for both these running backs, both Gordon and Williams, to thrive. But if you ask me to pick between the two right now, I have to lean Gordon. Keep him plugged in there as your RB2. You could go with Williams, but I like Gordon better. All right, Chris, your turn. Give me another running back for Week 10 that looks promising.
I'm going to say you got to go back to Leonard Fournette, even in a tough matchup against a football team. They have been better overall on defense, and they've been good against the run really all year. He's a guy you just have to have in your lineup. And we saw in the 4 weeks prior to that Saints game, he had 16 or more PPR points in every single game. He's the clear lead back there. He gets enough receptions to give him a safe floor in PPR leagues. Even in a tough matchup against a football team, just too many chances for Leonard Fournette in this offense to keep him on your bench. He's a guy you have to have locked into your lineup.
Yeah, I think it's been established now Fournette is the guy in Tampa Bay. You don't have to worry about Ronald Jones in any regard. Now, who's the guy in Vegas? I'm talking about running backs, of course. Well, it's 2 ways now. It's Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake. Finally, it's not just the Jacobs show. It's interesting because the last 3 weeks, all of a sudden, in PPR, Kenyon Drake has been top 11 finisher at the running back position. That's right, he has been an RB1 for fantasy 3 straight weeks. Why? What has changed? Let's see, what happened about the time that this took place 3 games ago? That's right, as soon as he was out, all of a sudden, a light switch flipped on, or I don't know, maybe his usage just magically increased. But Kenyon Drake all of a sudden is getting used. He feels comfortable and he's catching passes, something Josh Jacobs is not doing anymore because Drake is there. 8 targets this past week, 6 catches for 70 yards. That's going to be his role, but he's also getting carries and he's getting usage in the red zone too. I think going forward, we can expect Drake to probably outscore Jacobs most weeks because of the receptions. And I think that Drake's usage is enough to make him, at the very least, an RB2 in PPR leagues. Kansas City this time, this matchup, will there be a lot of points? Who knows with Kansas City these days, but we do know that Drake will get used as a pass catcher. I like Drake, plug him in there. All right, we're gonna get to a couple more running backs first. Let me remind you that if you wanna support us besides just subscribing, consider becoming a patron. We have information in the description below where you can check out our Patreon page and you can get some time with us, giving start sit advice on Sunday morning just with our patrons, plus other perks, so check it out. All right, time to finish strong. One more running back each. Chris, you're up first.
Well, the big news of week 9 is Chase Edmonds diagnosed with a high ankle sprain, going to miss at least a few weeks, and that means James Conner's value has just gone up. Now, I do expect Eno Benjamin to be mixed in and kind of have that Edmonds role. We know James Conner can also catch passes, so I think he's going to get more work in the receiving game than we saw early on in the season. And he's going to get more carries now, right? We just got to think that James Conner is going to get more touches with Chase Edmonds out. And this is a guy leading the entire league with 11 rushing touchdowns right now. So he's always a threat to score 1 or 2 touchdowns. So James Conner, for however long Chase Edmonds is out, including here in week 10, is an absolute must start.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, there's a lot of stories we're hearing guys who left James Conner on the bench this past week. A lot of tears being shed over that. All right, and my last one might shock you. It kind of shocks myself too to say Devin Singletary. First time I think we've said his name probably all year, other than don't start him in week 1. But Devin Singletary now has a chance to get the backfield to himself because Zach Moss did leave early with concussion. Devin Singletary could get the backfield to himself against the Jets, which are actually a worse run defense than the Jaguars. We've talked about this before. The Jets, the worst run defense. I think they've claimed that title, if you want to call it that, over the Chargers now. And they have been giving up over the last 4 games 33 points per game to running backs. Running backs against the Jets, it's like magic. It works. He actually caught some passes last week too. That's good to see. 7 receptions. If Singletary is going to get that kind of usage and he's going against the worst run defense that there is, how do you not start him? All right, that does it for must start running backs, week 10 edition. We'll do this also for wide receivers. Check out all our videos. All right, thanks for watching.